Welcome to Not Factory Approved, a channel where I try to show you what to do, how to do things, and how not to do things, sometimes by example. Well, actually about half the time by example. So today I'm adjusting the hood on this 40's GM, in this case a Cadillac. Now I've got it sitting up a bit. You can see it's over too far on this side and too far away on this side. It's fairly good up against the cowl, and it's pretty good up against the door. I open the door, you see it's not hitting it. I've talked about this paint before that I bought. I actually paid quite a bit for it, and it's just junk. It just chips any kind of pressure. I'm getting really tired of patching and filling little bits here and there, but there we go, there's another one. Anyway, what I've done is I'll show you the swivel. There's 3 bolts down here inside, and they hold the brace that runs across for the back of the hood. Now I've made those so that they slip but are fairly tight. So by doing so, I can lift the hood and move it where I want it to be. And then I'll have to lift it just a little, just enough to get my hands in there to tighten up the bolts. At least tight enough to hold position while I open it. So here goes. Now I'll show you how it can move. You don't want them loose because then it'll lose all adjustment when you pick it back up. But I can move this sideways quite a bit, either way. I can nestle it in where I want it. Check the clearances. Okay, this one has just over 1/8 of an inch. It's nice against the cowl. A little bit tight right there, right against the post. I can pull it forward a little bit. Likewise here, just over 1/8 of an inch, not tight to the cowl. So you have to make sure that the center bolt that holds it to is loose. And that can be quite loose. So a little bit that way. Now I'm going to use a short 2x4. This one. And I'm going to try and get in there without moving anything. There it is there. I can show you how much I can move it. Okay, quite a bit. Side to side. The chrome trim down the middle is the last thing you adjust. That's no indication at all how it fits. Okay, that's a little bit wide there, but I've got some good clearance here, so it's going to be a trade-off. As with most adjustments. I like how it's pretty central with fenders, but fenders are adjustable too, so I don't want to count too much on that. More I'm concerned about this gap here and the line with the door. And doors are also adjustable, so you have to keep all these things in mind. So now I lift it just a little, as little tension as possible. Trying not to move anything, although I think it's moving. Yeah, it moved. So I have to tighten it up a bit more and go from there. And you can see that that is too high now. I'm going to push it back. Like that. Don't worry about the hood catch yet either. Important thing is to get it lined up with the cowl. good gap. Everything else is adjustable. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Bit of a wide gap with the fender, and there's a bit of difference between the gap between the cowl and the top edge of the hood. I think that's got it. We'll tighten it up a bit and see if it shifted this time or not. Let's see how that does. Definitely too tight there. And too tight, too far back on this one, and not far enough towards the driver's side. So, a bit more adjusting to do. So in this process of adjustment, I'm going to put some 1/8 inch rubber on each side and cram the hood up against that. Cardboard would probably work as well, but I'm going to use rubber since I've got it. There, it's looking good both sides. Nice 1/8 inch gap. Just a little bit wider in the middle. Not worried about that. It's good on the other side. I might make it a little bit tighter there, but this is good. It's in line with the fender, even though, as I said before, that's all adjustable. The only thing now is that it doesn't sit even between the fenders, so I'll check into that, and I'll have to adjust the hood latch as well. But I think that part looks good. Now to tighten it up. Just a little bit of adjustment to do on the hood trim. It's no big deal, that's all loose. You can see here it's too tight. So I've got to move the fender out a bit, and this fender I have to move in a bit. But it's good along the side, matches up to the body and the doors, and I haven't been that successful before, so that's obviously a better way to do it. I've continually tried to lift the hood up and tighten things and get it in the right position, and it never works. So that's what I'd recommend. Looking at it further, I checked the center line of the hood was out of line with the grille, and the grille is centered between the headlights. So I went back and I adjusted it just slightly, pulling it forward on this side, so that evened up the gap between the fenders as well. But now I have to adjust this point here, get that pulled in a bit. Same on the other side. And I have to move the fenders back as well, as you can see. Now that I have the cowl gap correct up here, I have to adjust and get the hood back, or the fenders back, to line up with the hood. So to move the fender back, I undo these two for the back. This one in the front. 3 more underneath here. Now that I have some light, you can see one down here that holds the fender. There's 2 that hold the roll pan, even though it's not a roll, in the front. And there's 2 more up there. One's behind the wiring loom. See them in the corner. Those have to all be loosened. Then there's a row all the way around the bottom for the inner fender. Those all have to be loosened. There's some more up in here as well. So up in there you can see. And then there's a bit more up here too. Those have to be loosened. Lots to do to adjust the fender. I missed a few more bolts too. There's 2 that hold this wing here, and that has to go back because it's bolted to the fender in here. So those are up here. One here, and one back about 8 inches there. I've loosened those. There's also another one up in here. So that, in theory, is it. We shall see. That's the body there, and this is the fender. Some of the methodology is coming clear. What I should have done when I had the whole front end off of the car was set the hood to alignment for distance, for length first, clearance to the cowl, because now I have a too tight of a clearance between the fender and this wing right here. So I'm going to take this trim piece off. There we go. There's 2 bolts underneath that I have access to once I take this trim off. So I'll do that, move this wing back, and then I can finish adjusting the fender, adjust the wing. Might have to adjust the door yet, but I think it's good as far as gap goes here. Can't come back any further. Here's the trim piece. It's got 2 spring clips that hold it in to here. One there, one there. We're lying again. Nope, it's there. That one. There's actually 3 bolts. I lied about that one. So the front hole, the middle hole, and the back one. And now it's loose. So it should be able to slide easily. As soon as I get 2 hands on. I missed one more. In the corner there, there's a 7/16 nut on a long bolt. And that's got the grill attached to it. So that's part of why I can't push it back. I finally got all the bolts loose. And there's no bolts down in here, even though it looks like there would be. There aren't. It's just a reinforcement for the fender and to put it in the right position from the body. So now I'm going to pry one of these and lock it down. I can't move it by hand. I can only pry it. So put a screwdriver in there, pry it back. I think it's right. Clamp it down and see how it fits. I'm going to have to do this in stages. There's a bolt up here that centers the hood. I've taken it out at the moment. I have a feeling that there's too much pressure one way. It's not allowing the hood to center properly. So I'm going to loosen these ones here, which they mount to the hood spring mechanism, but they also allow you to adjust the fender in and out, or the hood. Where was I? What am I working on? So I'm going to loosen those, not enough to pull the bolt out, but just enough so that this piece can slide on both sides, and see if I can center it. And then clamp it up in the middle there. It probably will be another case of tightening it to a point where it can slide, but not move once it's in position. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or even notify, or any of the above, or all of the above. Thank you.